If I crown myself the rat leader, he crowned himself as the cap leader. He didn't rob no 50 at no gym. That nigga, yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Which one's my camera? That one?
Yeah.
This one? That one? Yeah, Fat Joe, you're a like you're a I'm not even gonna lie,
cap.
you're a captain of the cap. Like nobody believe, even your co-host who's Jadakiss don't believe you. Every time you say a cap, that like
You're gonna get me in trouble. I'm for sure.
How did you feel
I gotta go.
after warning Tekashi?
Oh.
Because I saw it when you sat with him. And I was like, Joe is trying to put him on right now. And
I'm
don't
gonna
think
just
he's
be
getting
honest
it.
with you. Damn, you went there?
Yeah, I went there.
This is a sucker.
Oh.
He's a sucker. A
Let me get, yo,
okay.
pop another bottle in there.
No, I ain't drink. I'm dead
It's
sober.
crazy. Talk that talk, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead sober. This dude here, this type of shit, this nigga doing, I'm convinced he wanna die.
6ix9ine sat down with the Dancer Project and things got wild fast. The moment the host mentioned Fat Joe's old comments, 6ix9ine went off. He didn't just clap back, he exposed Fat Joe right there on camera. No filter, no hesitation. And trust me, every word he said checked out. All facts.
Fat Joe said that.
Fat Joe's a
Lean back.
We've been leaning back for 20 years, man. Like,
He said you crowned yourself the rat leader and you wrote the 48 laws of snitching.
But before we get deep into what 6ix9ine revealed, let's rewind a bit. Fat Joe's been throwing shade at him for years now, and it's been non-stop. We're talking interview after interview, dragging his name every chance he gets. Remember that episode on Math Hoffa's show? Fat Joe straight up disrespected 6ix9ine, calling him out of his name like it was nothing. And it didn't stop there. Just last month, Joe was still talking crazy. Let's keep it real though. Whenever the topic of rats and hip-hop comes up, 6ix9ine's name is always first.
Yo, what's the event in hip-hop that broke the camel's back? Pause. To make it to where you could snitch. And if you make good music or something, you could still live out here in hip-hop. Like what was the straw that broke the camel's back in hip-hop where we had a code and there is no code no more?
Like it or not, his whole story made him the face of betrayal in rap's modern era. Fat Joe even said during that Hoffa interview that he tried to warn 6ix9ine before the RICO hit, but he didn't listen, and when that storm came, it tore everything down. And now, Joe's out here preaching peace, but you can feel that old tension still bubbling under the surface. Even if Fat Joe was asked about it, man, he really needs to chill. Like, bro, stop calling people out their name in interviews, and that's messy and unnecessary drama. 6ix9ine even said he's not coming at Fat Joe to start beef. He said straight up, he ain't snitch on me and he ain't snitch on nobody I know. But then he flipped it, saying Joe was talking about guys he warned ahead of time, and they still kept 6ix9ine close anyway.
The day 6ix9ine sat on that stand. No! You remember if you're watching the story, they taking him to court in bulletproof vests. They acted like he was telling on El Chapo. He put a lot of good people in jail, man.
Crazy, right? Now here's where it gets spicy. Fat Joe's been walking around like the self-appointed prime minister of hip-hop morality. His whole thing now is being anti-rat. That's his image, that's his identity, that's the hill he's ready to stand on forever. But hold up, those comments go way back. Since then, 6ix9ine's thrown a few jabs in different interviews, but just last month, Fat Joe brought it all back up again. He told Jadakiss he stayed up late one night thinking about who started what he calls the snitching epidemic in hip-hop. And of course, he pointed at 6ix9ine. But what's that got to do with music anymore? Because let's be honest, 6ix9ine hasn't been dropping real hits lately. His new tracks barely move, even his snippets flop fast. He had his moment on top, but that era came and went quick. But let's be real, all this snitch talk has nothing to do with the charts. If 90% of hip-hop fans ain't from the streets, why keep throwing street codes at people who never lived that life? Even a lot of black fans didn't grow up in the hood. That's just facts. So why should music fans follow the rules of a world they were never part of? It's entertainment, not a courtroom drama. Go to any rap concert this year and look around. You'll see the truth right there. Around 70% of the crowd ain't even black, and depending on the artist, that number jumps to 80 or even 90%. Go check a Drake show, for example. Most of the fans there have never seen the hood in their life. So why keep holding rappers to street codes when the audience doesn't even live by them? It just doesn't add up. But that's exactly Fat Joe's biggest issue with 6ix9ine. He swears 6ix9ine broke the code, that he ruined what hip-hop used to stand for. So when 6ix9ine finally clapped back, he didn't just deny it, he flipped the whole conversation. Instead of hiding, he stood tall and called out the hypocrisy. Fat Joe talks a big game about morals, integrity, and street principles, about being a real one. But 6ix9ine tore that clean image apart. He basically said, how can you preach honor when you don't even live by the same rules you claim to respect? And that's when 6ix9ine dropped the bomb. He brought up Big Pun's son, and the internet lost its mind.
People that say he ain't lying.
He ain't lying?
Yeah.
All right. Which one's my camera? If Fat Joe is not lying, the next person on the Dance Project, bring Big Pun's son. Bring Big Pun's son on the Dance Project. Welcome
Rivers,
back.
Chris Rivers.
Welcome back, y'all. Let's skip this clip.
See, by street rules, when your homie passes, you look out for his family, no excuses. You make sure they're good, especially if money and business were involved. That's supposed to be the ultimate code of loyalty. But according to 6ix9ine, Fat Joe didn't live up to that when it came to Big Pun's family, and that's why he called it out loud. The moment 6ix9ine mentioned Pun's son, everything exploded online. He claimed that Fat Joe, who once was tight with Big Pun, didn't step up for Pun's people like a real one should. And that hit deep, because Big Pun wasn't just anybody, he's a legend in hip-hop. So the idea that someone that close to him might have turned their back on his family, that's a heavy accusation that shook the whole game. Then came the line that had everyone frozen. 6ix9ine looked dead serious and said, "You talking about morals, but you ain't even take care of your brother's people." That one sentence echoed across the internet, because for all of Fat Joe's talk about loyalty and honor, 6ix9ine exposed a real contradiction. Fat Joe's out here preaching loyalty while allegedly not living by it himself. Now to be fair, Joe's always defended himself, saying he's shown love and respect to Big Pun's legacy whenever he could. But still, the damage was already done. But let's be honest, the internet doesn't care about explanations, it feeds on drama. The second 6ix9ine threw that shot, fans went full detective mode. They started digging up old interviews, old pictures, even contracts, trying to find proof. And that's where things got real messy. Because what 6ix9ine did was flip the whole rat conversation upside down. Instead of denying his past, he turned the spotlight on the people calling him out. He basically made everyone ask, if being real means loyalty, then who's actually living by that code? This wasn't just another diss. It was a calculated strike at Fat Joe's entire credibility. 6ix9ine used Joe's own morals as a weapon against him, and whether people liked 6ix9ine or not, they couldn't deny how sharp that move was. Once that line about Big Pun's son hit the internet, chaos erupted. Fans were split right down the middle. Some said 6ix9ine exposed the truth, others swore he was just chasing clout. But either way, the damage was done. Fat Joe's image, the one he's been building for decades, took a major hit, and 6ix9ine didn't let up. He doubled down, bringing up interviews where Big Pun's widow and son claimed they never got what they were promised after Pun passed. That stirred up a whole new storm online. Fans were pulling receipts, replaying interviews, comparing every statement word for word. It turned into a full-on investigation overnight. Things got wild fast. Fat Joe tried to keep it cool, saying he's always shown love and respect to Pun's name and legacy. But 6ix9ine wasn't buying it. He clapped back saying, "Respect ain't just words, it's action." And that hit hard. Because when you brand yourself as a man of principles, people expect you to actually live by those principles. The internet went crazy over that, watching every move like it was a court case. Then came the dagger. 6ix9ine said Fat Joe's out here trying to play judge of the streets when he's not even clean himself. That line blew up like a grenade. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Big Pun anymore. It became a full-on conversation about who really gets to decide who's real or fake in today's hip-hop world. And here's the wild part. No matter how people feel about 6ix9ine, what he said hit a nerve across the culture. For the first time, the so-called rat flipped the table and made the real ones look like the hypocrites. The streets weren't ready to face that mirror. For years, rumors have been floating that Fat Joe kept money meant for Big Pun's family, that Pun's wife and kids never got the royalties from his legendary catalog. Fat Joe once claimed he gave them $1 million, but Pun's wife quickly clapped back, saying she never saw a dime. It got so tense she even filed a lawsuit against him. And from what's been reported, that case got ugly fast. Whether that lawsuit ended in her favor or is still dragging through the courts, one thing's clear: the accusations are heavy. According to Big Pun's family, his music kept making money for years, but none of that cash was reaching them. They claimed Fat Joe told them, "Ain't no money coming in, man. It's all going to prior obligations." But when they started digging into the paperwork, what they found told a completely different story. There was money coming in, and somebody was collecting it quietly behind the scenes. That revelation shocked fans everywhere because if it's true, it raises a harsh question. How can someone preach loyalty, integrity, and street ethics while allegedly cutting out the family of their fallen brother? That's not just a bad look, that's devastating. Think about it. Fat Joe built his entire image around respect, legacy, and street honor. But if what Pun's family said is true, then the whole real one image starts to crumble. Fans started questioning everything. Was Joe the loyal OG he claimed to be? Or was there something darker under the surface? Even people who defended him started going quiet because this situation hit deeper than music. And honestly, from a moral point of view, if that really happened, it feels worse than anything 6ix9ine ever did. Because snitching, as bad as it sounds, still happens in a world full of crime and consequences. But allegedly keeping money from a man's widow and kids? That's a whole different level of betrayal. That's something that hits the soul. So here's the real question. Did 6ix9ine actually have a point about Fat Joe's integrity not lining up with his words? Or is all this just another round of internet drama gone too far? Either way, it's clear this story isn't going away anytime soon. Drop your thoughts down below. I want to hear what you think. Was 6ix9ine spitting truth or just stirring chaos for views? Smash that like button, share this with your crew, and don't forget to subscribe to JuiceHub, where we bring you the realest hip-hop stories every single week. See you on the next one.